Hi, I'm Charlene, and most of you remember me from the past when I show up once a year in your faith formation class and talk to you about a lure. And we remember that a lure is something that's used to tempt someone to go somewhere or do something. Okay, so this lure that we're going to talk about today is called the name lure. And you'll forgive me if I look down every once in a while because I have notes so I can remember to get all the information out there for you. Okay, but today we're going to talk about what's called a name lure. Okay, and that's when somebody comes up to you and calls you by name. And if you don't know that person who's calling you by name, how does that make you feel? It could make you feel several different ways. It could make you feel important. It could make you feel popular, like, wow, somebody knows my name. If you're like me, you think like, ooh, they know my name. That means I must know them, but I can't remember their name. So it might make you feel a little worried or a little concerned. But not everybody that calls us by name knows us. Now, how could somebody who doesn't know us find out our name? They could find it out on the internet and on social networking sites. They could see it written on some of your belongings. They could ask somebody that they saw talking to you. They could be a friend of a friend, and a friend could have told them your name, and now they know your name, and they're calling you by name, and it could be kind of weird. It could also pump up your ego, so you have to be careful to balance it and make sure you know who you're talking to and find out about them. So one of the most important things we need to do is protect our privacy, and there's several ways that we can do this. We can do this by not putting our full name on our belongings where it's visible. Okay, you can put your first initial and your last initial. If you feel like you need to put more of your name, you could put it inside where it can't be seen publicly. And when you're on social networking sites or on the internet, use a different, don't use your full name as your screen name. Use a screen name that doesn't give away a lot of your identity. Okay, because a lot of people get to teens and are able to use this name lure because people your age tend to overshare on the internet. And I guess it kind of makes sense because you've grown up with the internet and you don't think about it and you use these social networking sites so much. But oversharing can create unsafe situations. So you want to always make sure that you're safe. You don't want to overshare. Use a name that use a screen name that doesn't give away a lot of your identity, and check your privacy settings too. Not everything needs to be public, nor should it be public. And we don't always check our privacy settings like we should. And sometimes the default setting is public, and you might want to go in and check your settings and change that. And you also might want to password protect your site or your information. And don't share your passwords. Don't. No matter how close you think the person is and how good a friend and whatnot, everybody can slip up and give away information that they don't mean to give away. So keep your passwords to yourself, okay? I want to give you a scenario that's in the book, and I'm going to read it so I make sure that I get all the facts right. And this scenario is just going to kind of show you what I'm talking about, okay? Caleb has a Facebook page called Soccer, Go Big, Go Pro. Caleb's been playing soccer since age 2, so he's pretty good at it. He devotes all his free time to playing soccer with a club, and he's really good. He regularly posts pictures and how-to videos of drills, moves, and tricks. He has over 500 friends on his Facebook page, which is a lot of friends. One day he gets a message that says, Caleb, I'd like to write an article about you. I really think you'll go pro one day, and I want to be the first to write an article about you. Meet me at the park outside of school at 3:30 today for an interview. And it's signed Simon Cooper, sports reporter. Now, here's a few questions for you. How does this Simon Cooper know Caleb's name? From his Facebook page. And his Facebook page is obviously public because he's got 500 friends. How will he know what Caleb looks like? From pictures that are on the Facebook, because he's showing himself doing drills and tricks and that kind of thing. So he's going to recognize him. Should Caleb automatically think that this guy is legit and he's really a reporter? I don't think so. Probably not. Should he go to the park alone to meet this guy? Absolutely not. No. What should he do? He should tell his parents and talk to his parents. His parents would probably be able to research whether this guy is really a reporter or not, or his parents will go to the park with him. And that's much safer than him going by himself. Because young people have been set up in situations like this. You go to the park, you meet somebody, you think it's a public place, but then they get to talking and it's like, you know what, there's too many people around, let's go over here. And then bad things can happen. So there's a number of lures in here. The biggest one is one we're talking about today is the name lure. Caleb probably could think, wow, this guy knows who I am. And he, you know, it makes your ego feel good if you think you're a really good soccer player and this guy wants to interview you, but it could be a setup. And it could be a dangerous situation. So he doesn't want to go, he shouldn't go by himself. He should tell his parents or another adult, and if he really wants to go and see if this is a real interview, have an adult go with him. Because the name lure can draw people in very easily, and you could quite easily find yourself in a dangerous situation. Now, this could be something that this Simon Cooper is doing. Is it okay to pretend online to be somebody else? And the answer is no, because you're impersonating another person. And impersonating another person and using their information is against the law. So you never want to do that. And is it okay to use somebody else's device without their permission? No, because if you take their device and you start communicating with somebody and that person thinks that you're the person that the device belongs to, then you're impersonating that person. And that's against the rules and it's against the law. Sometimes kids post unkind or untrue things about somebody else, and that's not okay either. That's cyberbullying, and that's also against the law. Now, one thing that I want to talk to you guys about, and if you remember nothing else about this lesson, I want you to remember these things, because I'm going to talk about identity theft. There's billions of people on the internet, and not all of them have good intentions. And there are people that are looking for people's personal information. And what do I mean by personal information? Your name, your full name, your address, your social security number, bank account information, things like that that are very personal. And people can use this information. They can use your identity to open up a bank account, to open up a credit card, to get a loan. And then what are they going to do? They're never going to pay these bills. And that's all going to be under your name. And kids your age, from 6th grade on through your teen years, you are prime targets for this kind of stuff because you're never going to know. Because you don't check your credit report because you don't have reason to yet. But when you get old enough to check your credit report, these things are going to show up, and then it's going to be a knock against you. Now, will you have to pay this stuff? Probably not, but you're going to have to spend a lot of money to clear your name. Now, what are some ways people can get this information? They can get it by stuff you post on your social networking stuff, because like I've said before, Kids your age tend to overshare, so just be aware of what you're putting on there. And the other thing that you don't really think of is your cell phone, because you live on those phones. You have them with you all the time. You keep a lot of information in there. Don't keep personal information in there. Memorize your social security number. Don't write it in don't put it in your cell phone. Because your cell phone, it can be stolen, you can lose it, and even if it's password protected, these hackers, they can get into your cell phone and they'll have access to any information that's in there, and once they have your social security number, they have access to every part of your life. So please do not keep personal information in your cell phone. That's a mistake that a lot of people make and they live to regret, so don't do it. Okay, and remember, anybody that calls you by name is not necessarily a person that knows you or has good intentions towards you. Okay, don't be too mistrustful, because most people are good. It's a fine line to walk, but you're getting to be that age where you gotta learn to walk that fine line. So if somebody calls you by name and you don't recognize them, don't automatically think that you know them and that they're trustworthy. Talk to them, figure out how they know your name, figure out if you really do know them and you just forgot, or if there's somebody that you don't know that they're appearing up out of nowhere. So don't be too mistrustful, but don't automatically trust anybody that calls you by name. Okay, and like I say, you're getting to be that age. You gotta start figuring these things out. And we're telling you this stuff not to scare you, but to make you aware so that you can take part in keeping yourself safe, because knowledge is power. And the more knowledge you have about these things, the more ability you have to keep yourself out of unsafe situations. Especially now that you're getting older and you're gonna start going places with your friends and not necessarily having a parent or another adult with you. You need to have this knowledge so that you keep yourself safe. Okay? And that's about it. If you have any questions, let your teacher know, and your teacher can get in touch with us and we'll get you the answers. Okay, but remember, keep the personal information off your cell phone. That's the one thing I want you to take away if you don't remember anything else, okay? But be safe out there and enjoy. Thank you for listening.